welcome everyone on the Metaverse. We're back here with Games with Web3 Friends, the 7th time at ETHDenver. Now we're officially going to be doing this as a series. We're here with the one and only Brian Schuster. Did I pronounce that?
Schuster is correct.
Schuster is correct. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You got in last night?
Yes. Yes, I believe so. I got in
yesterday. How's your ETHDenver been so far?
Oh, phenomenal. I mean, basically, I've signed up for a bunch of side events and everything, and of course, I spent the entire time walking around and not gone to one, other than the Luxury Watch meetup, which was exceptional.
There we go. Luxury Watch. So, let's get right to it. What's success look like for you here at ETHDenver? What are you trying to kind of get out of the event? And as somebody that's, got a pretty big program company that you're, obviously a part of, how do you kind of, plan that out? I know that's a loaded question, but I'll give it to you all.
Right. So, I mean, when I'm thinking of a conference and I'm thinking of what I want to do, I mean, ultimately, I think planning is kind of the first step of really what you want to get out of it. Because the thing you have to recognize is that this is a really overwhelming experience for everyone, even at small conferences.
Yeah.
This is a smaller conference overall than, say, Consensus, which is just massive, right? Where, I'm almost unless you get people's emails and addresses right at that moment, you're almost never going to get them.
Sure.
So really what I try to do is I try to figure out who am I working for at this point, because I have a number of ventures, ideas, things that I'm working on, and I think of, okay, who are the right people, who are the right organizations who are there. So I mean, my planning started all the way last week, where I found all the brands I was interested in talking with. I started connecting with them on LinkedIn and Twitter and all these places, and started talking about what they were interested in.
Yeah.
And then so when I get here, it's mostly just a lot of follow-up and conversation. So today was primarily the one of the events there, which was the Luxury Watch event.
Yeah.
That ended up being really good. A lot of meetings with people that I usually don't get to contact, or I get to go online, and then doing events with you guys, going after, talking elsewhere. But then there's also certain targeted things I do. So that's general networking of I'm trying to get out there, I'm trying to help my brands in general. And then there's specific stuff. Right now I want, one major brand, because I'm doing a talk next month basically for, a panel, and I'm looking for the best people possible. So I'm interested in getting somebody from Base basically to come out and do this. And the program that launched there. So now that's really very targeted to say, okay, who is interested? What are they interested in? Does ScaleFest have the right stuff they're looking for? What's the right angle there, and do that? So it's very more sales oriented, with the end goal being I want to get somebody in the conference.
What's the base piece? Is it DMs? Is it, kind of peppering them a couple times? Is it walking up to them? And maybe even for you, because obviously you got a bunch of people that want to meet with you. How do you kind of like to be approached at these conferences?
So honestly, when I approach other people, it's really a when you reach out to people, the mistake most people make is trying to get too deep too quickly, or they don't do it. In which case you come off as a salesperson, right?
Yep.
And the bad salesperson. And most people think, oh, I'm looking for a job, or I just want to talk with them. No, it's the same energy there. So really it's just a lot of rapport building. I mean, literally just a conversation of mentioning, oh, that's a jacket. Things you're actually interested in, right? That's a nice jacket, or that's a nice watch, or that's a thing, or what's your company.
Keep it light.
Right. Do that. And just see as it emerges. And in my head, what I'm doing is I'm kind of looking at threads that are kind of pulling off there, either stuff I'm interested in or stuff that I can ask interesting questions about. And then you're just kind of going through the process of disqualifying is too hard of a term, especially this, because this is not direct sales, but it's mostly pulling those threads apart and figuring out, is there anything here that's really worth diving into, or is there something I'm personally interested in doing, or is this just a nice person that I met at a conference and I'm just having a nice conversation, right? That'll happen where the conversation is okay, I'm not going to get my main goals, so let's just have fun here, right? And do that. And those sometimes end up being very fruitful too. So that's the case. So it's a lot of early conversations, a lot of messaging, and then really very specific on the follow-up. The thing I'm doing here is I'm getting everyone on my LinkedIn.
Follow-up. Follow-up is critical.
Right. Get everyone right at that moment to say, okay, if you want to do something, right, get them on your LinkedIn so that you're there, and then you can have a nice follow-up process there. Get their email address. And if you plan a meeting, plan it right there. I literally have my Calendly right on my homepage, because if I see someone I'm I want to talk to you, I'm not going to leave it up to chance. They're going to be too chaotic over the next whatever. So I get it right then. Hey, let's schedule for next Tuesday, right? Not forceful, not like you're being pushy, but if let's meet. Great. Here's the calendar. Where do you want to meet? Right? I find that helps a lot with the follow-up if you're looking for something specific, or even if you're just looking to network and you just want to get that person.
That's a great piece of advice. You just want people to comment on your hat and say you got a nice hat. That's really what you want.
No, I got the hat. It was actually necessary. So this is not I'm not from Texas. I've been there once in my life.
Well, we haven't even gotten to what you do yet. First,
right.
We have to pick a game. Which are we doing?
We're doing Jenga.
All right, we're doing Jenga. Here it is. That's technically not
1-0.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me about the hat. What's the story?
So, all right,
Are you a rancher? What are you showing?
No,
there?
nothing. Actually, it has nothing to do with my background. Even though now it's my professional background, here. All right, we're gonna start here. So basically, what are the rules again?
We're just doing one hand, and we got a stack on top. Okay. Yeah, and Lacey said it's cutthroat, so it's basically once you commit to one, then that's it.
Okay, so I'll do that. So basically, went to Austin last year. I have 4 kids, so thought I was going to buy a silly hat for them.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd buy like the big cowboy hat. I was interested in doing that. Went to the place in Austin that was selling hats.
Absolutely.
Put it on, and I liked it. And I was like, oh, this is actually good. So I thought, let me wear it a little bit more. I'm in Texas. Everyone's wearing it. I did that, and I noticed that I was getting a lot of good reactions from people, that I've seen, where it's like they were noticing me, they were remembering me, they were doing that. It was easier to do that. And I realized it's like, this is really good. Let's see. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, those middle ones.
There we go.
So you built a little bit of a brand identity there.
Right. And it ended up being so, I guess I would say, useful for my identity, where it's like, this actually is really good. So I changed over my entire professional profile to always have the hat and do that. And actually, even if you look at my education videos that I'll do every once in a while, I'm not wearing the hat inside my house, but you can see it on my back behind me. Actually, it's right by the board, and you'll see this hat there. And it really just becomes this piece of identity for myself. Oh, I screwed up. Oh boy.
So would you recommend maybe that to individuals, help people stand out a little bit at a conference? Maybe have something specific, or
I mean, what ended up
something to remember them by. Yeah, I know. I'm giving you a hard question. Wow, you're in the midst of. Oh wow.
I'm done. This is not. I screwed up.
We'll do best of 3. How about that?
All right, that sounds good. So no, I mean, honestly, it's like it ended up being something. Well, first off, the hat fit my personality in general and what I do. I tend to be big and loud, and I have a very big, loud hat. So it ended up being more serendipitous. Like if my brother, after he saw my hat, said, "You don't need that. You need like the Irish little cap sort of thing to do there." And I like that, and I'm like, that just is not my. It wouldn't have, if I did that and went to Ireland and wore that hat, it wouldn't have worked, right?
Sure.
But it helps to like have something, particularly for me, where like, I need people's attention, right?
Yeah.
In order to do that. I'm in a crowded marketplace. I'm dealing with technical stuff, and I can be a little bit more outlandish. Like if I were in financial services or something else, this look wouldn't do as well because it's not the brand. But
maybe DeFi.
Yeah, maybe. But like, to have it loud. So doing that actually really helped. And now it's kind of become this thing where it's like for getting people's attention.
Yeah.
And having just the simple consistency of, here is this person in front of me, and is this the right LinkedIn profile, to see the hat in the hat links it together, so it's very easy for them to know they're talking to the right person, they're connecting.
You hearing these?
Build
a brand. Build a brand. It is. Your personal brand does matter. It really does.
No, and actually, like part of what I do is professional coach, and I've mentored hundreds of folks over the years to try to get into better development stuff. And like, one of the big things, even as a technical coach, you may go first this time, even as a technical coach, is focusing on what is your outward persona look like, right? Maybe you don't like the term brand, but what are you saying on your LinkedIn profile?
Yeah.
What are you putting down?
Yeah.
What are the experiences? If you say you're a full stack developer, okay, do you have full stack development experience? Do you have those technologies? Are you talking like that? Because keep in mind, as a technical manager, and I've done that, I have a model in my head of what that individual should look like, right? And especially early in the job hunting process, you need to qualify for that thing, right? Because if you don't qualify for that, I'm going to exclude you just because, like, we don't have trust, so I'm not going to make a mistake, right? Yeah. And there's hundreds of other people I can actually look at. There we go. So
that's great. So we don't get too lost in it.
Yeah.
Brian, tell me a little bit about what you're working on right now.
Right.
And what maybe the next opportunity for somebody to get involved with what you're working on.
Right. So there's a number of things that I'm doing right now. One of them is, of course, DevMint, where we had the school. We launched it last year. We had a first cohort. Actually, you're having some of my students on the show today, which I'm very, very thankful for. And that, it's great to see them doing well in the world. And basically, launching that boot camp, maybe have more of an entrepreneurial focus in that. Likely coming out in the next 6 months. I also do a lot of professional coaching just because that's just something I've done so much of, and now I'm actually finally getting to the point where I actually have a program I want people to go through. There's a potential course I'm going to launch specific to how do you actually go from graduating from boot camp or deciding I need to get the hell out of this job. What are all the things I need to be doing to make it as easy as possible to find another role? What are all those steps? And it really goes through, let's go through your education, let's go through your branding, let's go through how you present your products to the world. Because branding isn't just what does my image look like, what is my header, but it's also
100%.
what does my GitHub look like? Am I somebody who comments code the right way? Am I somebody who actually knows how to write a README? Am I somebody who will consistently go through and like use those little green, code on GitHub every day and have those little green dots? Guess what? People like that stuff, right? And they can be, very negative, right? Like I think you were mentioning yesterday on somebody was just updating the README over and over again, right? And it's like, guess what? You saw through that immediately. Or it can be a great benefit because you look in a personal project where it's like, holy crap, you've done more with this little project than even my guys I've hired done with their professional work, right? Things like that. So it's focused on all those aspects. And then finally, my favorite one is just really, how do you make good cold introductions into the world?
Sure.
How do you start building that network from scratch when you don't know anyone? And that's something I've done a lot of. That's part of what this conference is. That's what a part of talking with you guys.
Do you think this conference would be a good opportunity for individuals to do that, to maybe make their introduction into Web3?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, it's one of the... Oh, boy. Did I make... Can you? I'm gonna cheat. You can't stop me.
It's all right.
So, I would say, like, any conference you can go to that allows you to start working those skills is a good benefit. Because ultimately, I mean, I have this saying that I tell pretty much everyone. The system is the hero. It's not simply about going there and being able to do it well once. It's about having a process, a set of steps you do that you can consistently go and do it. Because if going to a conference and meeting people that way is useful, it's going to be something that's useful over and over and over again. And you're very excited. You may be very excited about it right now, but you want to be able to get on a plane, like 18 months from now when you're not so enthused about it, but it works. You want to be able to get on a plane, go to the conference, and be effective for 2 days and know you're not wasting your time. And that means you're building in the habits, you're building in some of the processes, the stuff like the follow-up and the intro, and knowing like what are your standard things to say. So really just...
The system is the hero.
The system is the hero, yeah.
It's a good one.
I really don't... I mean, one of my favorite quotes from a technical manager is a guy named Jim Gray out in Indianapolis. He was a QA developer and really just... one of the guys that introduced me to software as an actual professionals field,
Sure.
right? As opposed to like what the young guys do. He said, he said this quote and it always stuck with me. I can build A software with a team of B players. And what he was really saying there is that basically, if you create a system well enough that you have people that you can get, not the best talent, but good talent, people who actually care about their jobs, but maybe are not in it for the whole thing, but you can create a system that actually allows them to do the right things at the right times and be able to fix stuff there, you can create amazing software. And for most software in the world, that's exactly what they need. People need to, because again, we can't all be Google where we're hiring literally like the top 1% of talent unless you want to shell out $300,000 per developer, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that. So what makes up the difference? Great systems, great processes, great habits.
So you're saying take that system and apply it personally, and setting up your own personal system will help you.
Exactly.
I like that. Yeah.
Exactly. And I do that with my content. I do that with my networking. I do that with my, just working relationships and what I do. And it's there. I mean, the more things I can take off of my plate from something that sits in my head to something I can just put into a Notion tab, the better life gets, the easier it gets.
Yeah. That's a good one. How would somebody get in touch with, you in terms of if they were interested in, what's some of the entry points into working with Brian Schuster?
Honestly, the best one right now is LinkedIn.
Okay.
I was working LinkedIn and Twitter at the same time, but the problem is they're so different as far as platforms are concerned that you can only really work one at a time.
Yeah.
And when I was growing Quora, I was all on Quora and I blew up there and that was great. And then when I did two, I couldn't do that. So really, I'm all on LinkedIn. Right now, I'm getting everyone to scan my QR code because, again, I have a system. If you connect with me, you're going to get a message from me, basically, and whatever it is. I'm going to look at your profile. I'm going to think, how can I help you? What's going to be interesting for us to talk about? So if you want to get in contact with me, connect with me on LinkedIn. I will respond back to you.
We'll put the link in right here. This is what Lacey says. Right? No, up here. No. For Brian's LinkedIn to connect. What's left here at ETHDenver this week? What do you really want to get out of it the rest of the week?
Well, let's see. Tomorrow I'm going to go around and get all these souvenirs my kids think I pay for at theirs. So I do that every conference.
That's a pro tip for the dads out there.
Right. Yeah, say you're going to pay for it. Souvenirs are like the greatest thing. So they're so excited for me to go off at conferences. I got a lot of additional booths I want to hit, basically where I'm talking to their developers and folks, because there's a potential new opportunity on the horizon that I can't speak of right now. But basically, it's a lot. Basically, my life is about, let me talk to developers, let me figure out what their problems are, and let me solve them as best as I can. So talking to developers, doing that's basically my life. And so really, it's just sitting around the conference, doing that stuff. That's what I love doing.
That's great. We're going to finish up this game off camera. We'll put it in the description who wins. But Brian, thanks for coming out.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you have a great rest of your ETHDenver.
Thank you.
Thank you.